What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So a video I released a couple days ago going over the training camp battles to look out for the upcoming training camp. I was talking about Malik Heath, and I asked you guys, do you want to see a tape breakdown of Malik Heath? And after a few of you said, yes, definitely make that breakdown. So in this video, we're going to break down Malik Heath's tape, see what type of wide receiver he is, and if he has a chance to make the Packers 53-man roster. During OTAs and minicamp, there was a ton of talk about Malik Heath, an undrafted free agent out of Ole Miss. He was really showing out during OTAs and minicamp. Now, the pads weren't on, but it seemed like every day Malik Heath was making a play, or at least that's what the reporter said. This was during 11v11 portions that aren't allowed to be filmed. So we haven't personally seen it, but we've heard about it. And now this is the talk going into training camp. Can Malik Heath make this roster? This wide receiver room is super young. In my eyes, there are 5 locks at wide receiver. Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, the 2 rookies this year, Jaden Reed and Tay Wicks, and also Samori Toure. Some people might not agree with the whole Toure being a roster lock thing. Personally, I think he is, based off of what he showed last year as a 7th rounder, how much Jason Vrabel and Matt LaFleur have been boasting about him. To me, he's a roster lock, and I think he can contribute a lot. So there's really 1 to 2 spots that are open on this roster between Grant DeBose, their 7th rounder, Malik Heath, who did really well in OTAs and minicamp, and then also someone like Bo Melton. So I was very interested to see what type of wide receiver he was, because to me, it's very interesting what the Packers were doing with him during OTAs and minicamp. They were mainly playing him at slot. He even got some snaps with the ones at slot, but he rarely ever lined up in slot in college. His first 2 years at Mississippi State, 99.7% out wide year 1, 99.5% out wide year 2. When he transferred to Ole Miss last year, he was still 93.3% out wide and 6.5% in the slot. He only had 24 snaps in the slot. And quickly looking at his stats, we see last year he had 834 yards, 4 touchdowns. He was that number 2 to Jonathan Mingo on the Ole Miss offense. And then the 2 years before that at Mississippi State, 442 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 291 yards and 3 touchdowns. Heath also isn't a crazy athlete. He's 6'2", 213 pounds, and ran a pretty abysmal 4.6440, and also had a poor agility grade with a poor shuttle, and an okay explosion grade, only a 34-inch vertical, and a 10'4" broad jump. All right, so without further ado, let's bring up the screen and dive into his tape. The first game we have here is against LSU, and this actually was his best game of his college career. I believe he had 145 yards. So in this play, he's at the top of the screen. I'm gonna let this run once through. It's gonna be pretty much a deep dig route, a little bit rounded there, but still a nice job securing that ball and then instantly getting upfield and, going through contact to fight for extra yard. Watching Heath, the one thing I've noticed is he is a physical player. He does not shy away from contact, and when he's in traffic like this, he does not care about getting hit. He'll actually run into the contact to try to create more yards. So as we see here, the LSU defense is in zone. He does a good job getting on the inside shoulder of this defensive back, setting up this dig right behind the linebackers, but underneath this safety, right in the soft zone of that defensive zone there. It looks like it's in cover 3. So really nice job kind of floating in that zone there. A little bit rounded, like I said, but then again, he's just floating in an open zone, gets the ball, and gets upfield. Now here is the same exact thing. It's a cover 3 for LSU. It's a deep dig here. He catches it in traffic, breaks one tackle, breaks another tackle, and gets upfield. So again, very similar to the last play, finding that soft zone of the defense. But with this one, a little bit more of a contested catch there. The safety comes downhill. This was later in the game, so he saw that coming a little bit better than the first time and was trying to break up this ball. Again, Heath does not shy away from contact, and he's very good in traffic, so nice job grabbing that ball, stiff-arming another guy, and getting upfield. So this play is probably my favorite. It's just a simple drag. On this play, really nice release there, but what I love is at the end of this play, and it just shows his physicality, just lowering his shoulder there, and I mean tossing that defender like 5 yards. Most wide receivers are gonna run out of bounds here and take their yards, but he purposely stays in bounds and lowers his shoulder on this defender, and this dude goes flying. I think this defender didn't expect that to happen, kind of expected just to kind of bump him out of bounds, and that play would be over. Malik Heath had other aspirations and just demolishes this smaller defensive back. Definitely my favorite play. Going back to the beginning, really nice release here. This cornerback is an outside shade, so what Heath does well here is attack his leverage, pushing him more to the outside, breaking underneath, and then getting in between here, so getting over top of this this linebacker, and underneath these 3 defensive backs. Basically, all these routes are going to be pushing all these defensive backs back, and against a zone, this drag should get wide open, which it does. But again, probably my favorite play just based off of that. Just insane. All right, so you might be thinking at this point, is it only all positives? Definitely not. Now I'm going to go over some of the things that worry me a decent bit about Malik Heath and probably are mainly the reason why he was an undrafted free agent. First of which is his effort. It seems like in a lot of plays, the dude just doesn't give much effort. If it's a play that he knows is going away from him, he's not gonna do much. So as we see here, he's kind of off the snap. This happens a lot where he kind of just walks up to the defensive back. He does do a little bit of a move there, kind of trying to sell a fade at that point. This was better than most of them. I have a couple more to go over, but a lot of the times if it's a run to the opposite side or a design pass play to the opposite side, the ball will snap and he just stands there. And I'm not saying he should go 100% and waste all of his energy, but these are times when you can set up a defensive back. So at least he kind of does that at the end there. But one of the negatives I definitely noticed about him is his effort. And we'll dive into more clips right here. This one really left me scratching my head. This is a pass play. And yes, it's designed to go to the left. And Jackson Dart, who first off, horrible quarterback play in these 2 games I watched. So it's not all on him if it's, he's not getting many targets or whatnot. Just absolutely horrible quarterback and offensive line play by Ole Miss the 2 games I watched. Yes, it's designed to the left side, but that's my point. It seems like Heath knows this, and he's just walking out there. I'm not saying he has to run, like I said, 100%, give it his all, but he's not even attempting to do anything. He's simply just standing there where he could be setting up this defensive back, working on his releases, setting up certain releases on a defensive back, so when they come back to a play, that defensive back's going to be worried about him, doing an outside release to a 9 route where he can then break underneath on a slant. Something of that sort you want to see receivers do during something like this, and it just baffles me even more because it was a pass play. Like, yes, he's probably tasked with just standing there like it's, just a quick hitch or whatnot, but he could, at this point, come to the middle of the field that has a massive hole and try to help his quarterback out that has no one else. He could at least try to help his quarterback out. I also noticed that a lot. If it was a broken play situation, he didn't really try to extend the play with the quarterback, move with the quarterback. He kind of just stood in traffic with defenders and really didn't move at all. Another negative I saw from Heath is he's not really a willing blocker at wide receiver. This one's simply just a missed block, but during a lot of other plays I watched, he doesn't really seem that interested in blocking, and I don't know what he's upset about here. He missed that block maybe because he's like, okay, why are we running? And he wants to be thrown the ball. I get that. I've been in that situation, but if it is a run play, you gotta help your team out. You gotta at least block the guy coming down a hill on your running back and is the reason your running back pretty much gains minimal yards there. And like I said, I just don't understand why he's getting mad there. I mean, he completely whiffed on this block. I really don't have an explanation for that. And like I said, it just seemed like he really wasn't a willing blocker in the 2 games I watched. It may be different in the other games, but the 2 games I watched, it just seemed like he was very, very disinterested in blocking when it was a run play. So for this last little segment, I'm going to point out something that I noticed. So when I watch wide receivers, I look for very small things because I've trained for that type of thing. And this is one of them. So I noticed when Malik Heath is lined up and his outside foot is the front foot, which shouldn't be the case. In a timing system in an offense, your inside foot should be the front foot, which he does do. But when it's his outside foot front, it's usually a run to his side where he's blocking backside here. I noticed that a ton, that he's pretty much selling that a run is coming to his side. I don't know if anyone else noticed this when watching his tape. I might be the only one. I just look out for weird things like that when it comes to wide receivers. But yeah, you'll see it here. It's a run to his side. And, not a great job blocking there, but that wasn't really the point of that clip. But again, it's his outside foot forward, which you shouldn't be doing anyways. And then also his body posture. When he's lined up, he's really relaxed when it's a run play, whereas other plays, he's not. So I have a couple more examples of this, but yeah. Here is another example of it. He's at the top of the screen. His outside foot is forward. So again, in a timing offense where you're going based off of steps with your quarterback, you're going to want your inside foot forward so that timing is correct, right? So again, his outside foot is forward. And here you have it. It's a run to his side. Kind of gets thrown out of the way there. You'd kind of expect him to be a little bit more physical in the blocking game, and that kind of just wraps back to his effort and kind of seems unwilling to block, like kind of like, I have to do this, where we know the Packers love their blocking wide receivers. But the main thing I'm kind of showing is his outside foot being forward, singling a run to his side. And just so you know, it's not, oh, he's always putting his outside foot forward. I'm going back to this dig play. As you see here, his inside foot is forward. He's running a deep dig here is the first play I showed you. So just to show you, it's not just, oh, he's always putting his outside foot forward. If it's a pass play and it's likely to go to him, his inside foot is forward, as it should be, because he's going off timing off the route. And it's a run play because he's simply just blocking and not timing a route on steps, his outside foot is forward. Two more examples here so you just know I'm not making it up. Here we have him at the top of the screen. Outside foot is forward. Let this play run. It's going to be a handoff to the running back to the right side. Misses the block yet again. It wouldn't have mattered anyways. But as you see, it's outside foot forward, which he only really does in this situation when it's a run to his side, which is just crazy that like a wide receiver coach, hadn't noticed this and told him to stop doing that. All right, last example in another game. This is from the Vanderbilt game. This is literally the only play I took from this game because it was just not a good game in general. He didn't really do much, and I just wanted to show you guys it wasn't just the LSU game where maybe, they were having him put his outside foot forward, which make no sense, but it happened here too. Again, you see outside foot forward, and as you know, it's going to be a run to his side. And again, just really low effort there on the blocking. Just kind of walks up there and doesn't really try. He just goes in between both of those defenders when he should have just chose one of them. And that didn't happen. And the running back gets a minimal gain. Now, the Ole Miss offense is very boring. Watching this, not many route concepts, not many different play concepts. A lot of inside runs and whatnot where the wide receivers really are doing nothing. It wasn't just him. But again, his lack of the willing to block, it seems, and the effort definitely concerns me. So those are all the clips I have for Malik Heath. So just to round up real quick, what he does good is he is a physical wide receiver. This guy has the frame for a physical wide receiver, and he does not shy away from contact. Clearly what I showed you in one of those clips, or a few of those clips, the guy loves contact pretty much, and he's really good in traffic. He also has a very nice release against the press, at least what I saw. So although he's not a fast player, he has pretty fast feet in regards to a release when that cornerback is pressing and he needs to set up his route. Now, as for the cons, which definitely outweigh the pros for me, firstly, rounding his routes. It wasn't just the dig routes. There was other things I watched in tape that he didn't really make sharp cuts on any of his routes, really. And the route tree was very limited at Ole Miss. It seemed like he was either running a hitch, a 9, a dig, and then mainly drags as well. And like I said before, it just seemed like he was very disinterested in blocking, and then also had very low effort when the play was not designed to go anywhere near him, or a run to the opposite side or something of that sort. And then finally, the front foot placement selling a pass or run is just crazy to me at a extremely high level, such as Ole Miss football. To see that is pretty wild to me. That's something you'd see in like high school football. So to see that and it maybe not even getting fixed by a wide receiver coach is pretty wild to me, because I'm sure there's a lot of other tells on an offense that would signal a run or a pass, but I just really noticed the wide receiver things because, like I said, I've trained for that sort of thing. So I definitely noticed that very early on. And when I kept watching clips and I was like, wow, he really is doing this like pretty much every time it's a run to his side. It just blew my mind. So to circle back, can Malik Heath make this 53-man roster? Now, it's going to depend, obviously, during training camp and preseason when the pads come on. It's completely different from when there's no pads. It just seems like every offseason, early on, we have a wide receiver that everyone's raving about, and this guy's going to steal a roster spot. We saw Juwan Winfrey 2 years in a row. We saw Reggie Bagleton, and the list goes on and on and on. Training camp comes around, and those guys disappear, whether it's from a talent level or getting hurt or something of that sort. So as of right now, he'd really have to impress me, and where I can actually see what he's doing for me to go, okay, this guy can make the 53-man roster. I still would have Bo Melton over him. He just shows a lot more, in my opinion. Grant DeBose, I did a film video on him. He shows a lot more, at least in terms of what they did in college. And then, of course, Samori Toure. It's not a question for me there. I easily have him over Malik Heath to make this roster. So, like I said, it's all going to depend, and we'll see what he does come training camp. But not looking too great. And if you watched 3 of my other tape videos from the wide receivers, you know I had a lot of positive things about all three of those guys: Jaden Reed, Tay Wicks, Grant DeBose. And that's because they showed me a lot of positive things. I'm not saying Malik Heath didn't, but there was a lot of negatives that in my opinion, outweighed the positives. But I want to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Let me know what you think of this tape. I know a lot of people have just been hearing about Malik Heath, but let me know your opinion on him after watching this video. Just comment that down below. But that about does it for this one. I appreciate you guys watching. If you could please leave a like down below, it supports my channel a ton. I really appreciate you guys. But I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Pack.